Hi, I'm Cassie Brkich with Design and Thrive, and we have Amy here today, our creative director, and we're going to talk about web design. And I'm sure we'll get off topic, but it'll be amazing and it'll be everything you ever wanted to know about web design. So thanks for me, Amy. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
She's like, I have
Yep.
no
I
choice.
I have to be here. No, just kidding.
You're like blinking. I'm unsafe. So, we're going to talk about, over the years, we've been in business for about 20 years now. We've collected some questions, we've collected a little pushback and some, again, like frequently asked questions and things like that. So, I'm curious about having some of these conversations. Hopefully, this will help people that are beginning their website design journey or maybe wanting to do a new website and do it maybe better or different this time around. So, let's dive in. Shall we? Okay, so the biggest question we get lately with, the change of technology and the change of everything is, do people still need a website? Do you still need a website platform, and why?
Oh man.
I know, it's a
I
hard one.
mean, as opposed to what? I would say that I would argue that the website is actually the most important thing right now, as opposed to, various print things or other. I don't know. You need a website for sure. Everyone goes there. I feel like that's the first thing people do. People do it for other people. Like, did you meet some person and want to know if they're legitimate? You're gonna Google them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're gonna.
And that's the
It
thing is, like, you can own that content or you can be ranking for what other people are saying about you, you know? You want
right.
your website to be first so that you're telling the story, you know?
Right, but it's gotta exist somewhere because I feel like even another angle, I guess, is just the amount of like scammers and like fake businesses that there could be out there that maybe have a similar name or something like that.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I have, searched something, thought maybe I found it, but then they don't have an Instagram or they don't have anything. Like they don't have a Facebook, they don't have a
Right.
YouTube, they don't have it something. They don't have something. So you're like, well, maybe they're not even legitimate. So I guess I'll just skip over that one. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
it's
just
legitimate.
huge.
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
huge to just say that you're legitimate. Even if all you need for your business is like a brochure type site that just is there. It has a bio, it has what you offer, and a contact form. And that's it. It
Yeah.
still tells everyone, that looks up the name of your business that you're a legitimate business, and not just some sort of fake or slightly sketchy looking thing that people don't want to buy from.
Yeah, totally, and we were talking about with Jolene on the social media podcast, that's your hub, and that's something that you can guide people to, and we don't own social media. We don't own,
Hmm.
other things that are, like, listings that we're on and things like that. Even Google business pages, they could take that away tomorrow. You don't wanna rely on something that isn't ours to begin with.
Right. And it's a place that you have like ultimate control. You could put whatever you want on it,
Mhm.
whatever you want about yourself, about your business, and like the possibilities are endless. I feel like there's just so much you can do on your own website,
Yeah.
from just offering services to making an online store or, something totally custom.
Yeah, I totally agree, and, I always say, like, when people ask what does branding mean? This is, off topic for here, but, branding is what people say about you. It's what people are already saying, so you have to be in control of that story and that messaging and put out on your website what you want people to say so that when they are researching you and they're looking for you, they find something that's your words to describe you, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good, and I mean, will we get to a place that we don't need websites? Who knows? Like, who knows? But I'm still a firm believer that you need business cards. So, I mean, I don't know what that makes me, but I love the idea of tactile something to hand someone, whether even if it's a QR code that they're just, grabbing right then and they don't keep your card, but it's just you have to be in control of that story, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it almost works the other way around with business cards now. They are less popular, so if you have one and you make it
Yeah,
something unique and fun,
yeah,
that is a way that you can stand out that maybe
absolutely.
other people aren't doing, you
Yeah,
know?
totally, totally.
It could
And
be
this again,
totally,
off
totally off the
topic.
cuff weird. Yeah.
Well, we created this business card that we leave when we go to a new business, and if we're gonna highlight that business, like, we're gonna collab with them on Instagram or something like that, or we're gonna tag them, we have this little card that says, "You've been highlighted." I can't remember what it says, "You've been highlighted," or something like that, and we hand it to them that says the directions on the back of what to do when you receive the collaboration, and who we are, and so they don't know, think we're strangers when we reach out. So yeah, so I think there's a lot of different ways you can do stuff like that. Yeah.
And I
Nice.
mean, just like that's unique, there are multiple ways to make your website be unique and have unique items, a unique animation, unique videos that you made, or
Yeah.
links to other places. It's kind of nice. Some people, where applicable, they have a press page where they then can collect, links to all the other, say bloggers that highlighted their business. You could have
Yeah.
them all in one place on your own site and link out like, hey, I was featured here and here and here.
Then
Because
you could be
usually that wouldn't be
above that
collected.
person. Yeah, you could be above
Yeah.
that person in Google then versus letting their press page about you, be higher than your own website.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a good point, like kind of to lead me into another question is what kind of processes from a client's business can be pulled into their website to make their life easier? Like I always say, like your website could be a brochure site or it could do the work of an employee almost. So
hmm
give me a couple examples of what people might incorporate into their website to make their own lives easier, their own processes easier.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's more than I could even that I probably don't know all of them, but a couple of things. I mean, some people put chatbots on their site, and that's kind of nice. So as a way to collect actual inquiries or collect actual questions that people have quickly and have an easy way for them to answer. That's, not everyone has one of those, but it could definitely be a good tool. There's I mean, so many things. It's like imagine having like a pretty robust blog on your website. That's kind of like having a person always talking positively about your business, just
Yeah.
always out there. Like you just have a person that's marketing for you all the time. When you have a blog that's up to date and has a bunch of good tips and good stories on it, and then it's
And sells
nice
by people.
because yeah, it comes full circle because you can lead people to your blog, people lead other people to your blog, they have a post that they read and they want to share it. It's like it facilitates people talking about you even though you only had to write that post once.
Yeah, and to take it to the process side of like we do this for our own business. If we write a really good blog we have a blog about our web design process. Well, then for new clients, we can actually send them to that blog to read a
hmm
little bit more of what's happening on their web project while they're just sitting and waiting for us to send them something. So it's like entertains them while they're waiting for us, and it gives them a little education on the back end. One of my favorite things we do or we recommend sometimes for clients is like a more expanded contact form. It's like a longer form version where you can actually edit out or filter out people. So if they answer this way, it goes to this particular person's email. If they answer this way, it goes to a different person's email. Or if they answer this way, it actually feeds different questions into the rest of the form. So it's a dependency basically built into the form. And I think there's so many ways you can use that rather than having it all go into one info at email address where there's
hmm
someone sitting there waiting to disseminate that information to other people. And then there's a delay.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of like gives you an extra employee that already sorted everything,
Yeah,
you
that you
know?
paid for once, and it's not even that expensive to do an additional form or a more expanded form. You don't have to pay anything after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's really a really nice tool.
hmm
Yeah, I love that. And the chatbot's great. We're actually doing that on a project right now. I think we probably need to do one on our website. And I
Yeah.
think there's tools. Dominique, our operations manager, has been asking me, gently nudging me for a while to look into video ask because you can
Mhm.
actually record yourself answering questions. So if a client has a question about something or a potential client has a question about something, they can see me on video answering the question that they
Right.
have. So because there are a ton of common questions.
Yeah,
So
and what a cool, like, again, a cool, unique way to do it. And it lets you not have to literally jump on the call 50
yeah,
different times with 50 different people because you already recorded the
right.
FAQ to that.
Yeah. And on the client side, they can watch that video at midnight. They don't have to wait for
Right.
me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. We didn't have to schedule a time. They didn't have to
yeah,
schedule a time. They can watch it anytime they want,
yeah,
wherever.
it's great. Yeah, there's so many things you can do, and it's one of those things where, again, as a web designer, like you love that. I know especially because tell me what you're trying to accomplish, and I will tell you the 75 different ways we can get there and what
Yeah.
might be the best. You don't have to solve the problem. We'll solve the problem. Just bring us the problem.
hmm That's my favorite tip that I give to clients every time because people frequently with design pieces, whether it's a website design or a booklet or a brochure or anything, the clients frequently try to solve the problem that they are having with the piece, by saying, could you make this bigger, or could you move this down 2 lines, or could we remove a paragraph, add a picture? They try to tell you what to do, but in reality, it's kind of easier if they just identify the problem instead of solving the problem. So
Yeah.
identifying the problem might be something like, I don't think that the headline stands out enough, or the whole thing is feeling kind of crowded. So that
Yeah.
doesn't solve the problem of it being crowded, but it tells me that you wish there was more space going on.
And we have
There's
one of those. I think I know we give the client one of those, how to give good feedback. And I think, again, we have a blog about that, how to give good feedback. The feedback should be maybe this and not that. And we give a couple different examples of that to show, like, you don't have to go to work for us. We'll do the work. You just tell us
right.
what you're like, what might maybe not feel so good to you. And you might not even be able to say, you might just say it feels heavy. Okay, we can
Yeah.
totally figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. People are worried sometimes. They're like, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but I'm going to try, just try. Like
Yeah.
everything that you say is helpful. I promise, when you're giving feedback, even if you think it's not coming out right. That's kind of our, designer job. We
Yeah.
solve problems all day. We
Yeah.
figure out puzzles all day, and we're kind of like practiced at doing that with client feedback as well. It's part of the job, and
Totally.
kind of a fun challenge anyway. So just give us your best shot, and we'll totally figure it out.
Yeah, and I think, even we always try to convince clients to do audio feedback or video feedback, because then you don't have to worry about like typing everything out perfectly and making it all buttoned up. Like, just talk, like we are right now, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. And that leads me to another question, is that, how important is, especially when we do print design, like you would assume that we're like really paying attention to where everything flows and where the large text is and where the small text is and where the sidebars are and all that kind of stuff. Does the same process go into web design, and how important is it to make sure that text is broken up and there's a lot of thought process in, rather than just throwing a bunch of text on the page?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of thought that goes into it, and some other things that clients may not realize that we're thinking about, which have to do with, some usability, user experience type things of how much text are people going to read at once? Can this page be easily scanned? Is the color contrast strong enough for web to pass accessibility standards? There's a lot of things that we think about while we're designing that isn't just how long or short the page is. Because to be honest, I feel like that can be a hang up for some people, clients that they don't do this every day. I wouldn't expect people to know, what's good or bad. That's what we do. But I feel like sometimes people are like, wow, this page is so long, no one's going to scroll that far,
Because I
without realizing that that's exactly what people do now. Is just scroll. They just scroll.
we have been
Instagram,
trained.
Facebook,
We've been trained. And like back in the
TikTok.
day, it was a thing. You don't
Yeah.
want to scroll more than twice. Like there was actually like a above the fold situation. Like there was
Yeah.
a newspaper design.
Hmm.
And that's not a thing anymore. People scroll like, their thumbs do it without them even thinking.
Right. So now, like, being scannable is actually arguably more important than being a short page.
Yeah.
Can I just, while I'm scrolling quickly, can I easily pick out the headlines that tell me what's going on down the page so that I can quickly stop? Oh, that's what I wanted to read right there. Stop and
Yeah.
read it while I'm scrolling, instead of being like, it's weird. Sometimes when there's a short page, you're like, that's it.
That's it.
Now we're like, huh, that's
Yeah.
odd.
There's no way my question was just answered. There's no way. So you don't even read
Yeah.
it.
Right. You're like, that's too short. That can't be it. I have to go find a different page.
Jolene talked a lot about that, about the repetition on the social media podcast. And that's the same thing. It's like you can be repetitive in your content because you might not grab them in the bullets. You might grab them in
Hmm.
the paragraph. You might grab them in the call to action. And if you're being repetitive with your theme or whatever you're trying to get across, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of try to explain that sometimes too, about how some people that are visiting your website are the people that just want to skim the headlines. That's it. They just want to skim the headlines, and they might stop on something else to read a little bit further. Some people are like, give me the blog. I would love to read the long form content. So it's cool and awesome, really nice to be able to diversify the website content. So some places have bullets, some places have short descriptions.
Yeah.
Some pages have like longer form content on them that are, good for SEO also, but also can answer deep questions and, give a lot of information. So it's nice when you can do all of them in the same website to please different types of readers.
Yeah, it's really funny because there's so much that we think about that people don't even know that we know, or know that we think about. But it's like that, you might have your audience really ironed out. You might know that you're trying to reach women and 35 to 50 and they have kids at home. Like, that might be your audience, but among that audience that has that very big thing in common, there are people that like to read long form, the people like to read short form. There's people that the color contrast is going to bother them. So we have to think about accessibility. We have to think about the type of reader they are and the call to action at the end to make sure that they're actually knowing what to do on that page. So, and that happens on every page of every website.
Right. Right.
It does happen once. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be a goal for every single page. So I think it's interesting, and it's always awesome when a client tries to do it themselves. And it is awesome. Like, I'm not being sarcastic. It is awesome when they build their own site or they have something out there that we can go off of, and then we can kind of analyze it, take it page by page, and like, okay, on this page, what do you actually want them to do? Because right now you're not telling them what to do at all. So we
Right.
then take it and then take it over the finish line for them. All right, so cool. So we think about a lot. Like, we've already established that we think about a ton. So and this gets into the nuts and bolts, and it's super boring to people, but how do you maybe creatively or strategically collect all of the stuff people are trying to say and then somehow organize it and disseminate it on a page by page basis throughout their site? Like, how do you do that? How do you do that?
I know. I feel like that's such a loaded question.
I know.
I'm much like, wow, especially for big sites. So, I mean, at least one thing you'd have done first is figuring out the sitemap to make sure you know what the pages are going to be and, how they're going to flow on the site. But like you said, having a goal for the page outlined helps a lot. We actually have this document. It doesn't have a creative name. We just call it a page outline document where we actually have the client go through their sitemap and say, on the about page, here are some things I would like to have on it. So, for instance, I'm going to have the bios for two different people. I'm going to have the contact information for these people. I want to have testimonials, a quote, and this. Like, they make this little bulleted list in this document for every single page in the website. This is for a full custom website. And that is really helpful because at least then we have the pieces. And that's kind of a designer's thing in general. Is like, I want you to give me all the pieces, all jumbled up, every single thing, all the images, the icons, the words. Just give it to me in like a little junk drawer type situation.
Yeah. Give me a
And
mess. Okay.
yeah, don't feel bad if it's a mess. That's kind of what we do. So, just take all the little pieces. You take what they wrote in the outline and you kind of try to put yourself as a customer as best as you can and say, if I was going to the about page on this website, what would I want to know first? Why? How does it flow? I want to know who they are, then I want to know what they do, then I want to see if other people think that they're good at what they do. So that, testimonials. And then when I get to the bottom of the page, I was just at the about page and I learned about who they are. And now I want to know what their services are like. So the CTA maybe at the bottom of the about page leads to the services page.
Yeah.
Just to think through the flow of what might happen, for a customer visiting this website. It's like, well, I just read about this. So maybe after that, I might want to read about this.
Yeah, and that goes back to like every page should have an action. What do you want them to do? And maybe it's
Right.
not buy this thing or contact us for more information. Maybe it's, okay, I need to convince you a little bit more. Let me take you to my services page. Let me take you to my testimonials or my past projects or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then on that content document that we give them, the page outline document,
Uh-huh.
we do give them suggestions too. Like, if you don't know what to do with this page, some people use it for this, this, and this. So, I think just having that conversation with them and helping them just kind of pull it out of them so that they feel like they can give us some content or some information. And then we can start the big giant puzzle, which is
Right. And sometimes we see what they wrote and we're like, I love that, but I think that this page probably could also use these other things. So it's like a try your best situation, but don't feel bad if you weren't
right.
really sure what to put, because we are. You know what I mean? We're sure what to put. And we're going to fill it in and make sure it's not like a weird, awkward, small, tiny page because you only put 2 bullets.
Yeah.
You only put 2 bullets, but I'm going to expand it so that there's like 5 sections.
Yeah,
You know?
totally. And yeah, on, in terms of content, in terms of like how we get this giant puzzle piece together, we don't want clients, we don't want clients to feel overwhelmed by it. So we try to walk them through the process. We try to make it as simple as possible, but we also want them to know it is not the be all end all. Like we use
Mm-hmm.
WordPress in our website so that you can go and update your website anytime you want. Now they
Yeah.
don't have to, they can hire us to do it for sure. We're not going to leave them hanging, but we want them to be able to do it if they want to on their own. So I think that, to not take it so seriously, you're not going to start ranking on Google the day you launch. So you can
Right.
tweak it, you can make edits. You can launch a short page. You're going to just get a little
Yeah.
slap on the wrist from Google for not having enough content on that page, but knowing that you're going to eventually, kind of beef it up a little bit.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I think sometimes people take it maybe overly seriously because they kind of forget that websites are a living document. Like they should be updated constantly. And I think some people are like, well, I'm doing this big redo of my website and I'm going to put all my energy into it right now because I don't want to have to deal with that
Ever again.
yeah. And really, that's kind of not the right attitude to have about a website. So if you just kind of help remind clients, like, this should be a living document, you should be updating it anyway.
Mhm.
So that kind of means that, like, do your best. Well, use what you have, but don't worry about it if you wish you had more content on this page right now. Like, it's really okay to launch it
Yeah.
with what you have. Like, you don't have to be stressed and delay the whole process because you didn't get a hold of Jeff, who's supposed to write his bio for the about page. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. It's all right. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and if on the client side, if that's the issue, if you're holding it up for one person, just let us know because literally we can press draft and that page doesn't go live. Like, so it's
yeah,
not,
yeah.
yeah.
Or the
But I
section
think,
even.
yeah, and that's, yeah, right. Even just a small section of one page. Great point. But I think that's the thing is that we've been trained so long in print and like web wasn't a
Yeah,
thing for however many years that now like it is ongoing, it's living and breathing, and print was kind of final and then you spent a lot of
yeah,
money, you wanted it to be really good, but now it's like don't worry about it, it's cool.
yeah. Because that printed document is the printed document.
Yeah,
If Jeff's last name is misspelled, it's
yeah.
misspelled forever
Thousands of
in that document until in thousands of copies.
yes, exactly. So I mean, yeah, but it's totally different now. I mean, one person could see it wrong, the next day it's right again, so
Fixed.
it's
Yeah, no problem. Not a big deal.
yeah. So I mean, I think, another question I have, which, we've kind of talked about a little bit, but why does it feel so overwhelming to people? Why do you think people get so, is it because we've been looking at print for so long? Why do you think people get so overwhelmed by the whole website process?
Yeah, I think that is kind of part of it, to be honest, that they just think that it's this big final thing and it's so important and it'll never change again. And, it just feels like pressure. But
Mhm.
I think also another piece could be that they just don't really have any idea or education about what it is, how it is. You know what I mean? I think it's a very foreign thing to most business owners because they're worried about running their food truck. They're worried about,
Yeah.
serving their finance clients, and a website just feels so out in left field. They know they need it, but it's just not their thing. Like
Mhm.
they're great at this and not web design, which is, of course, that's
Yeah.
expected. But
Guess what? I'm not great at finance or food trucks. So that's
right,
okay.
exactly. I know. It's like, it's okay. It's great. I love that you're great at this and not websites. I just think it feels overwhelming then,
Mhm.
and as a business owner who wears so many hats, it's just like, oh man, there's this another thing I really need to do. I'm already so booked out, I don't know what to do with this, and I just can't process another piece of information right now.
And I think it's a trust factor. You don't know how many people we've talked to that like I go
Hmm.
into a conversation having to apologize for someone that they've interacted with in our industry before and that maybe like led them down a wrong path or lock them out of their website so that every time they wanted to make a change it cost them $200,
Right,
um,
right.
and that's like there's a reputation in our industry, I think, for web development especially, that it just they're not used to the way we do things. We don't keep our developer, in some sort of like dungeon where you cannot talk to them ever again, or ever at all. We let you talk to our developers, and we let you get to hear firsthand what they have to offer and what kind of education they can give you. And if you don't want to learn it, totally cool. You can pay us on, forevermore. We'll be a part of your team. That's no problem. But we're also not going to keep you locked out of your own brand and your own site. So I think it's, for me, on the side of the business that's talking to potential new clients, that's that reputation that we're kind of butting up against constantly.
And it's similar though. It like feels like an enigma, like developers, like secret. It feels like a weird secret that people are like, it's so shady, or I don't know. It just has like this weird feeling.
Yeah.
Because people are so unfamiliar with what developers actually do that it just feels like some, hidden away in the basement secret that doesn't feel like you can trust them because there's no transparency or no education on what it is that they're doing.
Like when you go to a mechanic, you're like, okay, you had to pay for all these itemized things. So, I mean, sure. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's like, are they just upcharging me, or did I really need those new brakes,
And like one bad apple can really ruin everything for you, So it's like you had one person that itemized things that you didn't understand. So now you just don't trust web developers, which I totally get. So, we always say, and I know we talked about this in the branding episode, is use that free consult. Call us. Like, we will totally tell you what we know. And if I don't know the answer, I will get an answer from our developer. So at the very least, you're going to walk away with a little bit more knowledge, even if you don't work with us,
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. And I mean, I think there's a lot of questions we could go into with like the bells and whistles and the all of the like developer talk, like, hosting and domains and where do you buy them and who do you trust and all that kind of stuff. But I guess, rather than going through, we do have a web design process blog, and I wasn't kidding about that. So you can go read that. But I think what we try to do is work with the client. We'll tell you as much or as little as you want to know. If you want to know exactly how to do everything and exactly where to buy the domain and all that, we have all that information ready for you. If you'd rather us handle it, we'll handle it. So I think it's all those questions that feel overwhelming to people. And getting anything across, hopefully we're getting across the fact that we will talk to you and we will help you through all of that. So the last most exciting part is our design good deed. We've got this cool segment that we're going to be doing on social media, and we're going to be doing as a follow-up to this podcast series called Design Good Deed. So this is where we show a work that we've done in the past, and for the people that are listening online, then obviously this is going to be available in video format. So go check it out so you can actually see what we're looking at. But we have a website that we're working on for a client that's not quite live yet, but we did like this really awesome website. And what we want to do is add something to it that he didn't pay for that we're going to give him as a surprise. And hopefully we'll show the big reveal. So Amy, I'm going to let you share what you've done and what we're planning on doing, which we haven't done yet.
Okay. How's it working? Good?
Fantastic.
Okay, perfect.
You can close the box on the side.
Close the what? Oh, this.
So you can see it bigger.
Wait, hold on. My screen's... I can't see the end of the thing either, so... There.
Yeah, there.
I mean, it doesn't really work bigger, but...
That's okay. No worries.
Okay.
For us.
Awesome. So right now we're working on the website for Jason's Journeys. This is the first pass at the design. It's a semi-custom quick launch website. So it did start with a template, but we have the freedom to kind of move a few things around and create some new sections. So in the next step of this website process, I am going to go through all of the comments and make design changes as needed and requested by Jason. So I'm going to scroll through it a little bit so you can see. Jason is a chef and he leads tours of small groups to Italy. So, I mean, there's so many gorgeous photos that you can use that, he takes and finds for a website like this. But it's really fun to see how a quick launch template can just be so unique and different every time, even though it's starting with the same template, especially if you have a semi-custom. There's so much freedom. But something that we're going to do for his Design Good Deed is create a pop-up, because he does have a pop-up on his existing website, but we're going to make, a cool on-brand one that we can use for this site as well. and I'm pretty sure that it kind of advertises the next upcoming tour. So the next most recent tour that he's going to go on. I think it advertises that, but I think it'll be a fun little cool piece that the new website will have. But just a little scroll through a couple of things.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because I mean he can use that to create some urgency, only 2 spots left. He could really use it to his advantage in the sales funnel of things. And that's one of those things where that's a nice easy thing for us to do. We'll have the template created for him. He can change it out himself or he can come back to us for us to do, and it's just going to be able to just to help him further that marketing campaign for that next tour. I like that a lot. I think that'll be super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Great job. Great job, team. I love it. Fantastic. Well, we'll follow up with Jason's reaction to sharing that pop-up, and we can't wait to see what he says. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Is there anything else you would like to say about web design? Any final words from you?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a tough one, but we have a really good team that is really especially they love doing websites. It's so fun, especially quick launch, semi custom quick launch. They're fun to do. They're easy. You can have your website up so quickly, and we like the challenge of making the templates look super custom and fun. So, I mean, if you want to use a free consult, go hit up Cassie and find out
Yeah,
what we can do because it's fun. It's nice, and you can get a super good quality website quickly.
yeah.
So check it
In a
out.
week. Yeah, get it done in a week. And then, like I said, the best part is you have that ability to make changes going forward. You can add pages, you can add any kind of functionality. You're not stuck in any sort of like box that you might get from like a GoDaddy website or something.
Calling out names right now.
I got other names too. Put them in the well, thanks, Amy, so much for joining me. This was so fun. And get back to work, I guess.
Yeah, it's true though.
You got work to do.
I do.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. You're the best. See ya.
Bye.